Good evening, everybody. Happy Thursday. Welcome into another edition of the Big Man on Campus Sports Betting Podcast. We're here every day, 5 o'clock Eastern. Today is Thursday, May 16th, 2019. Hope you're having a great Thursday. We're getting closer and closer to the weekend. You're really starting to get to that point where there's not a lot going on. And it sucks because we as sports fans love to bet on things. We love to, talk about things, and we love football and basketball and all that stuff. But, there's just eventually we're not even going to have basketball. We feel like the NBA is kind of a never-ending thing. We'll always have the NBA, and eventually the draft will be past us, and then we'll literally be sitting here with baseball. And look, I got to tell you, I'm a big summer guy. I like going to the shore. I love my jet ski. I love all that kind of stuff. But summer is a bit depressing from a standpoint as a sports fan. You're really just mired in baseball, and it definitely sucks. But we will kind of push through, and the sports calendar is always moving, and that's what I always tell you. If you're out there and you're looking for a way to improve what you're doing, you're looking to get into something more into what you're doing, spend the time in summer where, if you have a regular job, just work that job. Don't really worry about sports betting. Go and get prepared for football. Do the work. Get prepared. Prepare yourself. So that way when football starts, you're not behind the eight ball. So that's something I could obviously recommend you do. If anyone has any questions, feel free to send them in, whatever questions you have, whether they're sports betting related or whatever. Anything we can do to help. We'll get into tonight. We got some baseball. We have a big-time game 2, Portland and Golden State. We'll talk about that and more. Last night, look, tough beat if you had the Raptors. Really tough beat, including me. I mentioned on the show I really liked the Raptors last night. And look, for, what was it? For 47 minutes and 30 seconds, the Raptors covered. It was literally the last 30 seconds where they didn't cover. And those sting. I mean, especially in the NBA, because you don't have a lot of the fouling late where you kind of have maybe a backdoor opportunity. But, it was really ugly to watch Toronto in the fourth quarter last night. It just was. Outscored 32-17. No one else other than Kyle Lowry was effective whatsoever. Kawhi Leonard just disappeared. Danny Green is about the most useless individual you can find on a basketball court right now. Again, I almost wish, I wish Marc Gasol would have taken that shot against the Sixers as opposed to last night. I would have loved that shot if they were playing the Sixers in Game 7. And instead of Kawhi, it was Marc Gasol. But Kawhi just kind of cowered up yesterday and didn't seem like he wanted to play in the fourth quarter. Look, he was very good for the most part, but in the guts of the game, he wasn't there. You look at it in 75 combined minutes last night. Marc Gasol and Danny Green, 12 combined points. Serge Ibaka with 4 points. The bench was completely ineffective. And look, again, we get back to the same thing with Toronto. At times, the supporting cast just goes completely belly up. You can't win a game where only 2 players are effective. It's just not going to work. And last night, if I tell you that, at one point, at half they're, up, easily, they're up 8 or 9 at the half. In the second half, they were up double digits. And they don't cover 6.5 points, you're thinking you're crazy. But when the Bucks get going, they get going. Obviously a really concerted effort by everyone last night. And that's what you need, if you're the Bucks. Antetokounmpo obviously was good as usual, but Mirotic gave you 13. Brook Lopez couldn't miss. Chris Middleton threw in 11 and 11. Malcolm Brogdon gave you 15. Bledsoe was this typical, point guard self. You got Ersan Ilyasova to give you something off the bench. This is just something that we just don't see enough from Toronto. You don't have enough of that supporting cast. And look, I'm not going to dishevel Toronto for not covering. Look, it is what it is. That sucks. What are you going to do? But, I mean, the fact that the choke was just really hard to watch. I mean, if you have Toronto, but either way, listen, if you had Toronto last night, you got to take a lap. I mean, that's a really ugly way to lose. It was just a game that if you were a Bucks backer last night, I guess you could pound your chest for winning, but I mean, it really, really was kind of laughable, to be honest. But you'll have those people like we have on the chat that will pound their chest because they took the Bucks and they're great. And it's the people you would think would do that. Guys like Teddy B who are just complete mug losers. I mean that's what guys like him do. He always wants to be there to tell you he told you so. But when he loses, he's never anywhere near this chat. When his team got absolutely destroyed against the Eagles, then won the Super Bowl in his stadium, he was nowhere to be found. This is the kind of guy Teddy B is, and that's why, as just the kid he is, he will never advance in what he's doing because he's never around when things get bad. He's only around when things are good. It's funny. I mean, we never see you when you lose. It's not the point. It's not the point that you said that a team would win or not win. It's the fact that if the Raptors would have covered last night, we wouldn't see you in here today. You only come in here when it's easy for you to pound your chest. But look, I put you in your place many times. I'm not going to keep doing it. All right. Was that a hand pass against the Blues last night? Of course it was. Look, I don't know much about hockey, but I of course. But you know what? And I think one of the reasons I think we have to start to talk about this Sharks team as a team that can win the Stanley Cup is how many times has this team, lucked out with something? I mean, just it's seemingly a lot. They have something special going on, whether it's with the refs or what. You remember back when they played Vegas? I mean, what were they down 3-0? They get that power play, the major penalty. They score 3 goals and end up winning. I mean, last night, this team just continues to luck out with things. The goalkeeper's not been great, but yeah, I mean, we don't have to block him. It's okay. We don't have to block him. He just continues to show his stupidity. So we're not going to block Teddy B. He can talk freely in here if he wants. He continues to show his stupidity. We'll let him do that. But yeah, I mean, definitely a hand pass for sure. And generally with the NHL, they're very good most of the time, ref-wise. So definitely weird to see. Baseball last night, for me, as far as my premium play was good. I hit with the Texas Rangers on the first 5. Now I came back today with the Royals, and that was obviously a bad bet. I love the matchup personally, but again, Homer Bailey. Why should you ever expect Homer Bailey to do anything for you, right? Homer Bailey's kind of like Teddy B. We don't want to depend on him for anything, but for some reason, certain people like the guy. All right, last night, Tampa, they win 1-0. That's a tough one. The Marlins don't score yet you don't get the run line there. That's tough. And then what was the other one? The over in the Texas game. Close, but no cigar. Royals have left a small army on the base pass the last 2 nights, so definitely keep that in mind. All right, let's get into tonight's card. Couple of angles. Not a big card. Don't like this card. Nothing really jumping out at me. There are 2 games I want to get into. Reds and Cubs. Big price here for Cincinnati, and I think that's telling you something here. How many people are going to go and see that the Cubs are big underdogs tonight? Most people. That's what most people do when they look at the Cubs. The truth of the matter, though, is Quintana's been a complete mess this year, especially on the road. He has really struggled. And, this has been kind of something that we've seen a lot with Quintana. He's just not – he hasn't pitched very well. It's just that simple. You look at, this line, and obviously that's something I brought up already. But, you look at, Quintana against lefties. I mean, the Reds have been good against lefties, all things considered. They're not a good team offensively, but they've actually been quite good against lefties. You also look at the fact that Luis Castillo has been elite. I mean, Luis Castillo has been downright filthy. 9 games, an ERA under 2, a WHIP under 1. Opponents are only hitting 168 against Luis Castillo. Yeah, you really like what you're seeing from him. I mean, you look at his. I mean, he has a nasty changeup. Just a terrific start for him. You look at his latest outing, 11 Ks against the Giants. Look, I think this number speaks for itself. There's a reason that the Reds are this price. I think a lot of people are going to goad into taking the Cubs today, and I'm not going to be one of them. I'll lean Reds in this game. I'll swallow the Jews here. Again, I want to make this clear. The only play I loved today was the Royals. That one obviously failed miserably. These other two are really just kind of free plays. Nothing I'd go crazy on, maybe half units, stuff like that. So, yeah, I definitely like Cincy. That'd be one I'd get involved with. And look, I do like their bullpen, all things considered. Over the last few years, they have not been a great bullpen. You look at over the course of years with a guy like Jumbo Diaz in their bullpen. I mean, for a while, this was a messy team from a bullpen perspective, but they really have started to kind of shore up that end. And, look, credit to them for going out and kind of addressing it. It was a problem, and now all of a sudden it's not as big a problem. You look at on the season, really solid group, done a nice job. So I'm gonna trust that they can get the job done here full game. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them, and we can get after them here in just a bit. Someone's mentioning KD's mentioning Minnesota. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of liking the over in this game, to be honest with you. Both these teams love the home run. 76 home runs for Minnesota, 83 for Seattle, which leads the major leagues. Seattle is 30-11 this year to the over. In 41 games, 30 have gone over the posted total. They're hitting overs like candy. And, Michael Pineda is getting there a bit. He's still a guy that's struggling. I mean, opponents hitting 302 against Michael Wacha. And look, Eric Swanson's not been good either. 4 of his 5 starts have gone over this year. Obviously, couple that with this lineup. Eric Swanson in Safeco this year. Opponents are hitting 302 against him. He's got an ERA over 6 on the season. Obviously 2 lineups that can hit, 2 lineups that are solid offensively. I'm just not sure that I trust that Pineda's back. I'm not sure I'm ready to say that. They'd sure like if he would, but this is not exactly the lineup that you kind of shore things up against. If he does, he does. We kind of kick it on the chin if he does. I think at 9.5, this still has pretty good value to go over the number. If it's 10 or 10.5, maybe I'm not as interested. But with the home run ability for both these groups, I'll kind of lean over the total. You look at one guy, Michael Pineda struggles with, Edwin Encarnacion. 23 at-bats. He's got a 348 average against him. So maybe he gets a hold of one. I kind of like where I'm going with both these guys. I'm willing to think this one could get over the 9.5. But other than that, I mean, just not a ton to really wet your whistle with. Cubs or Pirates and the Padres, kind of a blah series there. Never interested in Tehran or Wainwright, so nothing there. Baltimore, Cleveland. I know Peter Loshak. I chatted with him a little bit earlier. He kind of likes Cleveland over to post a total. Look, anytime you get Dan Straley, I don't ever think that's a bad idea. But definitely, obviously, a day where there's not a ton of action, a lot of blowouts. You look at in 2 games today, 20 runs in one, 17 in another. 13 in another, 14 in another. A lot of overs so far. All 4 games that started early went over the posted total. So, this could be a big day for totals here, especially with some of these matchups we have tonight. What else do we have here? Someone's talking poker here. How about this? All right, Friday night he got dealt pocket rockets. Flop comes ace, ace, 2. And you flopped quads. Wow. Well, hey, hopefully you got as much money as you could out of that. The problem with quads a lot of the time is no one else has anything. You got to hope that you get someone that just tries to represent something or they get lucky themselves. But I remember several different times I got quads and I didn't get much out of it. I remember particularly when I was really young, I was like 17 or 18, and I would go to Tropicana and I'd play poker. They would never check ID, and I flopped quad jacks. And um, I always just remember this because I was super young, and I think I remember making like $11 out of it. I mean, some of those hands you always remember because it's rare you get quads, but um, I've never flopped a royal. I've never gotten a royal. Um, you just got to hope someone has trips or something crazy. But yeah, I mean, quads are cool and all, but poker's all about obviously extracting value out of other people. How much can you get out of the opponent? That's why I like Omaha. I mean, I like playing Omaha because it's an action game. You can get involved and have some fun with it. And if you like action, it's fun. Poker's a game where you have to be willing, and then gambling's like anything. If you're able to part with your money and understand what the money is, and you have no real value with money, you'll do fine with gambling. Because when you gamble, if you're sitting on every bet and saying, oh my God, I cannot lose this bet, well, you're going to struggle. But if you can always part with your money and be okay with whatever happens, then you'll do fine. All right, guys, hit the like button for me, retweet the show. Look, I'm not going to be on incredibly long tonight. This show's obviously going to slow down a little bit. We'll have quick things, maybe do quick videos, but I don't know how long I'm going to continue doing a lot of these long hour shows. For anyone that follows me, I'm actually, from what I've talked about, I have some things that I'm working on, which, around June 1st, I might have some things that, totally change for me. So, again, I mean, we'll do what we can do right now, but, just kind of coming on here as a courtesy to a lot of people, just to kind of hit the shows and talk about things. So feel free to inundate with questions. This is your chance now. I don't know how long I'm going to be on here just doing these shows where we have plenty of time. For me, it's, my favorite times are obviously college football, previewing things, and college basketball and NFL. And, as most bettors, I got to start preparing for that kind of stuff. So I don't know how much we're going to continue this. As far as what I'm doing next, a lot of that's going to be where you can find me. So we're kind of working on that. You'll know when I know, and everyone will be updated. Thanks for watching, KD. Cleveland's due for a heartbreak loss. Yeah, maybe. But, if you're willing to part with a few dollars every night, I wouldn't be against it. Are you going to do the podcast again, big man? I'm not sure what you mean. What podcast you about? This one? I'm not sure what you mean. Do you like St. Louis to recover after the shutout yesterday? I don't really have much in that game. I just kind of always gloss over Wainwright. I don't really bet him much. I think anytime you can bet St. Louis, I mean, they're a good team. I mean, you make more money than losing on them. But I didn't really look much at that game. The only games I really have an interest in are maybe the Reds at 140 and then the over in the Pineda-Swanson game. All right, game 2 tonight with Portland and Golden State. I was on Golden State in the first game. You look at tonight, and obviously game 1's always a good thing to kind of look back and what we saw. It was 116-94. So they got to 210. And they got to 210. Obviously, Golden State did their thing. Golden State is going to do that most of the time. I don't think Portland has much of an answer for anyone that Golden State can throw at them. And, I look at what Portland just didn't do. It's not like Lillard and McCollum were effective or anything. They weren't. I mean, and they still were, They scored. I mean, it's not like they scored 82 points. You have to think they're going to get into the hundreds here. The game's going to open up a little bit more. I don't think that Golden State has anyone that can stop Curry or Thompson or anyone really. And we also look at the fact that for most parts of that game was within 10 points. It was only late until Golden State really went on kind of a run. Problem was Portland couldn't defend. Keep in mind also, Portland did turn a ball over a lot. You have to figure those things kind of even out at some point. But at this number, I don't really have an interest in this game. Over looks interesting at 221. I think or I'm sorry, not 221, 219. It's dropped considerably. I'm looking at the last game, 219 and a half. I think there's some value on that. I'm not getting the best number here, but I could see this coming in. Again, this is not a great night for betting, and one of the reasons I'm not going to be on incredibly long. But I don't know. I mean, maybe the over here. You have to think Portland's going to be a bit more effective. Lillard, McCollum would be much more into the game. I think we saw that Cantor can be kind of a random guy here. He's a guy that can come in and give you some good minutes, and I think he can be effective. I don't love the bigs that Golden State throw at you, other than Draymond Green, but and arguably, if I had to play it, I would probably take Portland. I think if I could get an 8, I'd have interest, but I'm not. I'm getting a 7. Public loves Portland, and I don't want to be on the public side. I don't think Portland's going to have a ton of success in this series. I said that before. It would surprise me if they win more than one game. Portland just can't seem to defend Golden State. I'm willing to think Golden State can offer a bit more tonight from an offensive perspective. Something like 118, 108, something like that. I could see that here. Are you going to do the Blog Talk radio show? No, not that I know of. That was something Blackjack and I did. Things come to end. Blackjack's busy with the Action Network. He's got a lot going on. I'm going to be pretty busy coming up here. So, yeah, I mean, those are things that just come and go. Stuff like, the right side of campus. All that stuff is, definitely fun. It was part of my kind of ascent in what I've done. But, again, things come and go. If you're out there listening to the show, do me a favor and retweet it. What else do we have? Can you tell me your thoughts on the Travolta John Gotti movie? I thought it was really poor, really poor. Look, from the beginning, I was not a fan of John Travolta playing John Gotti. I just thought it was a horrific decision. Look, Travolta's cool and all. I mean, in certain movies, well, not really, because I don't really know any movies he was in that I really care or like. Actually, he was in a movie called Primary Colors many years ago. I actually like that. Pulp Fiction, I guess. But, outside of that, I'm not really a John Travolta fan. He was actually really good in Primary Colors. It's a movie about kind of off the Clinton story. It was about politics, actually very good. But, no, as John Gotti, he was horrific. The acting was terrible. I really felt like I was watching some, really cheap, indie film. Outside of Travolta, there was really no actors that I even knew. If you're going to do a John Gotti story, it's got to be done the right way. You have to hire the right actors. You have to have a guy like a Scorsese direct it. Obviously, Scorsese's doing the Irishman coming up, which I'm very excited about. Look, the only John Gotti movie that I ever care about or ever will care about is the one HBO did. To me, I think it was the greatest mob movie ever, personally. A lot of people will disagree, but from I look at movies as being realistic, especially biopics and stuff that's conceived to be real life. The Godfather was a extraordinary tale. Is it real life? No, not really. There was no one really in history that were even close to that portrayal. Goodfellas, I don't like the fact that it was so geared to Henry Hill. If you know anything about Henry Hill, he was a complete gopher and a nobody. And he really had no high standing with the mob. He wasn't made. He was a rat. That's really what he was. Now, if you were to tell me that they were going to make a movie about Jimmy Burke or in that movie, Jimmy Conway, I'd be very interested. He was an interesting figure. Paul Vario, those kind of guys, yeah, I'd have interest. And look, if they want to do another Gotti movie, yeah, I'd be interested. But it's got to be the right cast. If you've not seen the Gotti HBO film, go watch it. It is terrific. It is very well done. He was a perfect John Gotti. He was almost too much like him. It was that crazy. And it was really well done from a plot line. There were a lot of great characters. Mob movies are all about characters. If you get the right characters, you'll have a really good production. But no, to me, it was horrific, that movie. I couldn't wait for it to end. That's how bad it was. What else do we have here? Always love the mob questions. Always love talking about mob stuff. A little out of the scope, but I've still never understood the NBA draft where the fan can't even see the lottery balls. Yeah, it's terrible. And we talked about that yesterday. It is a great way to elicit things that we don't know that go on. I don't believe that they actually draw balls. I don't think that's true. They basically conceivably pick what they want to happen. Why don't we see the lottery? I mean, why is it? Why is it so top secret? Doesn't anyone find that to be odd, that it's really top secret? Yeah, of course the setup sucks. Greetings from Spain. How about that? Welcome in, Spain. Where are you in Spain? Very cool. Very cool. Portland will try to slow it down. Well, they're going to have to score sooner or later. You got to love summer and the lake. Do you fish? I do fish, but I do not. I do not fish in lakes or anything. I'm an ocean guy, for sure. Ski Profits in here, my man. Hey, Ski, if you want to join, let me know. I'd love to have you for just a minute. I haven't talked to you in a while. You want a link to the show? Sure, I'd love to have you if you want to join. You're always fun to talk to. Michael Franchise agrees with you about the HBO Gotti movie. Listen, Guan, I love you. Please don't believe what Michael Franchise spills to people. Michael Franchise is a complete liar, and he should not be trusted. He doesn't tell the truth whatsoever. He is a total liar. That was probably the only truthful thing he said. Michael Franchise is a complete scumbag and a shithead. I wouldn't believe anything Michael Franchise tells you. Bronx Tale is a classic moment. Yeah, second for me. You could argue the case that Gotti and Bronx Tale are the two best mob movies ever to me. Are you going to Albania anytime soon? My friend is from Albania. I'm hoping soon, in the next year or two. I'd love to go there. I want to go to Greece too, so I'm going to kind of try to do them both. We'll see. I'm trying to, over the last few years, kind of build my life. I'm getting older. I have to eventually do something with myself. Yeah, maybe sooner or later. Eventually, I will. I would love to visit Albania for sure. Ski Profit, let me know what you want to do here. I was talking about movies, so I don't know if you mean like you want to link to the movie or what, but yeah, I would love to hear from Ski if he wants to join. Ski's always welcome on our show. I see Ski Profits tweeting out stuff about unprofessional and all sorts of stuff. That's way out of Ski's thing there. So I'm interested in hearing what that's all about. I always love to hear about that kind of stuff. I have a feeling I know where he's going here, but we'll have to see. Yeah, I saw his interviews on Vlad TV. One thing about Michael Franchise that you have to understand is Michael Franchise is a money-hungry scumbag. He's ostracized in all his neighborhoods. His family hates him. So he has no other choice but to put on this stupid, I'm a God-fearing Christian now, and I was a big-time gangster, but now I'm not. Michael Franchise, none of the things that he says are truthful. He didn't invent the gas tax scheme. He did not cooperate. He cooperated 2 different times. He wants to act like he didn't cooperate. He even says in the Vlad TV interview that he did. But he has some like grand inquisition on what being a cooperator means. He's all over the place. I don't believe anything he says. You talk about stand-up guy, his father. His father's a big-time stand-up guy. If you read up on his dad, Sonny Franchise, but him and his brother are both complete scumbags. So no, I do not like Michael Franchise, nor do I care about what he says. But he was very right about Gotti. It's a very well done production. Any other comments? Feel free to get in on the show here. I'd love to hear about whatever anyone has to say. I always love talking mob stuff with all you guys. You guys are always love to chat. Let me get in touch with my guy Ski here. I want to see what he's up to. Mm-mm. Anytime I hear unprofessional, I think I know exactly what Ski is talking about. And I don't know if I should go down that road, but I think we all know who we're talking about with unprofessional in this business. Um, and I'll go and say this: I respect Ski Profit. He is a lot different than me. He holds his tongue and is never willing to really kick off with anyone, which I do respect. I think when you make an ascent to doing something, you obviously have to be good at it, but you second of all have to be liked. And I think he's definitely liked. The problem that I've always had in my career is there are people that don't like me, and they don't like my certain abrasiveness, let's say. And that's somewhat of a hindrance at times. Now, for me, I just look to find and work with people that are, they don't care. Just because for me, I think people like controversy and like that fun and like, people that will speak their mind and aren't boring. But anytime he says something about unprofessionalism, I always want to know what he's talking about. I'm always curious because he's not a guy that kicks off. So that's interesting. Andrew McGinnis checking in. What's up, Andrew? Mike Butler, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Um, yeah, my dream place to go is Mykonos. That's a place that I've always wanted to go. Mykonos is kind of right up there for me. So, when I go to Mykonos, I'll go to Albania as well. So we'll try to hit both at one point. PGA Championship, we kind of could check in on that. Look, Brooks Koepka was unbelievable today, a 63. No one really close. Tommy Fleetwood, he had a decent day, but I mean, outside of Brooks Koepka, Danny Lee, the South Korean who's from New Zealand, he had a pretty good day, -6. But again, right now, Koepka, the man in the clubhouse right now. So that's obviously something that I don't think not a lot of us didn't expect. Koepka's a very good majors, but look, for me with Koepka, I'm just not interested in that price. I mean, under 10-1, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Why are tickets so high in Philly right now? Is an event going on? Um, Not that I know of. No. White Boy Rick wasn't a mob movie, but it's a great crime movie. Yeah, I liked White Boy Rick. I think White Boy Rick's story is fascinating. I talked about White Boy Rick and his story. I will say this: there was a really good documentary done about White Boy Rick. It's on iTunes. I would watch that. It's very well done. They interview a lot of the real people involved in the White Boy Rick situation. White Boy Rick was a forgotten sort, but um, he unfortunately, in some aspects, made the bed that he had to sleep in. But still very well done. I would look at up to the documentary that was done because they interviewed a lot of the people involved in the actual situation. What else do we have here? Da, 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 da. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about with Philly. I don't know. I don't know of anything going on personally. There was one other thing I wanted to bring up, but now I'm kind of drawing a blank. John Wick tomorrow. Yeah, I've never seen that movie. I don't know much about John Wick. Uh, I guess my one thing I wanted to talk about is my kind of lame pleasure is I watched this show on MTV, Double Shot at Love. Uh, it's this dating show with Paulie D and Vinny from the Jersey Shore, and it's actually not bad. Some of it are cringy, but I don't know. I always get into some of these dating shows, like and who's going to win. I couldn't care less about The Bachelor, but you know, I guess the reason I like the show is because a lot of the women are kind of the women that I go after. So I do have kind of a fascination with it. And I will say, the first episode, my girl was here and we we watched it. And I didn't really like it initially, but I started kind of watching it, and It's not bad actually. Again, I think it has a lot to do with the girls that I generally go after and kind of relating to them. But plane tickets are high. I wanted to go to a casino there. Um, well, I'm not really sure what casino you'd want to go to here, but uh, maybe you can let me know and I'll see what you mean. But all right, guys, we will look to wrap up the show. Thanks for watching. Not really a ton of great sports betting content tonight with the show, just really kind of bullshitting on different stuff. But yeah, I don't know what happened with Ski Profit. He comes in here and asks for a link and then just disappears. I don't know what that was all about. But I don't know. I'll have to talk with him later. The thing with shows like that is you got to question how much of it is real or not. Yeah, I mean, obviously that's true. Some of it's irritating. Like some of the girls in there are really brutal, and like I kind of hope that they go away. But yeah, I mean, sure, I guess, and that's obviously true. Atlantic City. Well, yeah, I mean, stuff's expect. You got to fly into Philly and then drive to Atlantic City. If you fly into Atlantic City, it's expensive because it's a small airport and they only have a certain amount of flights that are coming in. So it's going to be more expensive. If you fly into Philly, it's cheaper. Fly into Philly and then get a car to Atlantic City. Yeah. I mean, that's one issue with Atlantic City. It's kind of tough because unless you like fly private or like you have the ability to like drive somewhere, it's really not that great. That's why it's great living around here because I don't have to fly in here. I could just drive everywhere. So, yeah, I think The Bachelor and all that stuff is definitely rigged for sure. So, all right, guys, you all have a awesome night. I appreciate you all tuning in here as always. Kind of getting us through any kind of you know downtime. I mean, we still have plenty of downtime. Big news out of West Virginia football. Very big ad today. Neil Brown got Jared Doge to commit to West Virginia. That's a big time get for them. Doge was a really solid quarterback over at Bowling Green. Fits the system well. Pretty good completion percentage. Had a big year in 2018. That's a nice ad for West Virginia. He's going to slot in there and be able to play quarterback right away. That's a big get for that group. Really kind of fits into that system there. Again, we don't know how that system's going to be now that Dana Holgerson is gone, but definitely an interesting grab there for West Virginia football. He's a guy that you see a lot of these older kids as far as juniors and seniors kind of making moves. We saw Gardner Minshew leave West Virginia or East Carolina to go to Washington State. And we're seeing, obviously, Jared Doge make a move. Jared Doge has good speed, definitely a quarterback that I think can help them. That's a nice move. And obviously, it doesn't seem like Neil Brown was very satisfied with the quarterbacks in the spring game. So that's definitely interesting. You have to be interested and see how that goes. We'll see if he can get a waiver. Obviously, he's going to have to get a waiver to get immediate eligibility. So that's important to the future of West Virginia. If he can get immediate eligibility, that's big. We'll have to definitely watch that. I do think we're going to have Ski Profit, John. I guess he had a phone call that he had to attend to. I'm going to take. I'll literally, obviously, give him 5 minutes to see what he's up to. We'll see if we can have him on. So definitely stick around for that. We'll just kind of weed in and wait here as we figure out if Ski's going to join us or not. I'll definitely get his quick feel on the playoffs tonight. See what we got. We'll see if we can get him on here. This is the joys of live radio, people. We try to move mountains to get guests here. And Ski Profit is a guy right now that people like. So any way we can get those people, we're going to try to get them. So yeah, Artez, if you're out there and you want to fly into Atlantic City, I would fly into Philadelphia and then get like a rental car. I don't know how long you're going to stay, but you could probably rent a car for a few days for a cheap amount. So that would be my advice to you. A 10-man rotation by Kerr. My thoughts. Yeah, I mean, you got to do what you got to do without your best player, right? No KD, so got to figure it out, right? Drebko gave him some good minutes the other night too. That was nice to see. Come on, Ski. What are you doing here? Cuz you coming in or what? You coming in or what? I need a producer. They could take care of all this for me. I want to hear the juicy details. So yeah, for me tonight, I'll take a shot with the Reds. I'll go over with the Mariners and Twins, and I'll that will be it. I don't have anything on the. I'm not going to play anything in the NBA tonight unless that changes. I'll see. All right, guys. I guess we're running a little late here. We'll try to get him on tomorrow, where we'll talk about everything that's going on. If you are out there, please follow me on Twitter if you want to. And that's that. Everyone have a great night. We'll see you next time.